just saw me a few minutes ago, and I told you that I was going to be coming back with a guest. You'll notice I don't have a guest, but I do have Benjamin. There's been a issue, and so Pastor Rose will not be joining us this morning. But I said I was going live, so I kind of felt like I needed to do something. Get on here and say and do something, since I said I was going to. But I have no plan, and I have nothing set up. So I have no idea what to do.
So ask me anything, then. That's what it is.
Yeah, I guess this is now an Ask Me Anything. This is a comment below. Tell us who you want to hear us talk to, what you want to listen to us discuss. We can also do an AMA. Ask Me Anything. Let's see. What can we talk about? Alice said talk about the Bible. Good morning, Alice. Good morning from Texas. Talk about the Bible.
Let's talk about it.
Ooh, that's a good question. Oh, you know what I just learned recently? Oh, this maybe shouldn't talk about what Pastor Jonathan told me.
Well,
So we started going to a new church here in Texas last year, and we love it. It's in Round Rock. We love our pastors. There's the lead pastor, but then all the executive pastors also preach and participate. I think it's, what did they say? Something like 78% of the church participates in serving, whether it's, like usher, greeter, kids ministry, whatever it is. Like the majority of the church serves in some capacity, which is really cool. And I'm on the production team. Shocker. I help with the live stream and sound and stuff like that. And in between services, a couple weeks ago, I was talking to our lead pastor, Pastor Jonathan, and I don't remember how it came up, but he told us apparently other people knew this and I didn't, that King James, did the King James version of the Bible, was apparently gay and hated women. So that was crazy. So that explains why some of the changes in the edits and the way that certain things were highlighted in the King James version of the Bible. That's why like the New International Version and stuff like that is a lot different and is attempting more to translate from the Greek or Hebrew rather than I know, Alice, I said that I was really surprised by that too. Apparently it's very well-known history that they just don't teach people. And that's why there was some problematic language in that version of the Bible versus different translations. So that's kind of crazy. But here's the deal. We don't have to rely on a single translation. We can actually go back and read and have direct translations from Greek or from the Greek or the Hebrew from our Jewish friends. So that's why I actually, a lot of times when when it comes to the Old Testament, if I'm really trying to dig in and understand a story or something that happened or a prophet or whatever it is, I'll actually go to Jewish scholars to look for what they have to say about it, their explanations, because again, they speak Hebrew. They speak the language that the Torah was originally written in. So they have different translations for certain words, and it really changes the context or the perception or whatever. So yeah, that was really interesting. And again, just because King James was a woman hater does not change the reality of human nature and the
But here's the thing. And this is actually really important.
Yeah.
So you heard that, and that's what they said, right?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that he was a woman hater. That means that the scholars believe and agree, potentially, that he was a woman hater, or that the pastor agrees or believes that that was the case. But we don't know. if that
You're
was the
right. They're
case.
going from historical records. You're right. So somebody could have written those records to be unflattering to the king. That's true.
The key here's the I only care about stuff like that. We actually just had this conversation. Oh, that's a hard segue. We actually just had this conversation when you were talking about Andrew Tate arguing with who was it, Ben Shapiro?
Mm.
And often when people bring up like Trump or even Bernie Sanders or Andrew Tate or whoever the heck you want to talk about, who's wild. Milo Yiannopoulos, great example.
Mm.
We attack character off jump. My first question normally, if I can stay sane, is like, well, is it true?
Mm.
And so I always want to be careful.
Yeah, well, that's what people don't want to take advice or hear things that are from people who are lowborn or of low moral character.
And that's fine. But what if it's a thing about people of low moral character?
I don't understand what you mean.
What if the conversation is about something low?
Oh,
Who better to ask?
than people of low moral character? I mean,
Dude,
that's
he's
fair.
in the gutter with
That's
his
fair.
eye just above concrete. You want that? You need friends in low places.
Yeah.
Where the
And
risky.
and here's the thing. We also know that this is character assassination is how you try to delegitimize people, right?
Yes.
Like that's what Deb Bilodeau did with me. She character assassinated me to other Vermont Republicans so that I would be unsuccessful in running for office. And it worked. It didn't matter that what she said was lies or even the true parts, right? Because you guys, I don't hide it. I have a criminal record. I'm a recovering drug addict. I made that part of my platform. And instead of seeing, oh, this is a person who that was 20 years ago, she's clearly changed. She used that my past against me to try to derail
For the
my
record,
campaign.
people who don't know anything about Vermont, because Erica's talking like we're only talking to Vermonters again.
Yeah.
When she ran for office, there was a lot of resistance
Oh, yeah.
due to these things.
Yeah,
So she's
so the
telling
woman-
a personal story with no context.
Oh yeah. So the person who was part of the leadership, the former GOP chair of Vermont, did not like me, and she actively worked against my campaign by either telling lies about me or by mischaracterizing my past to demonize me. Unfortunately, she's now looking like it's looking like she's going to be the national committee woman for Vermont, and she's a very dishonest and spiteful person, and I really believe that's a big part of the reason why the Republican Party is struggling so much in Vermont. The rot is coming from the leadership. If there's only one person or two people in leadership who are integrous, who are really trying to build the party, who care more about the outcome than they do about their own ego, Vermont is going to continue to struggle. Yeah. And that is really, really disappointing. And you see that across the country, you guys. We met people at America Fest, a gal who ran for office in DC against, what was that chick's name? They
Klacik.
Yeah, Kimberly Klacik, who, remember that whole thing blew up. I wonder whatever happened with that. Remember she had beef with freaking Candace Owens. Candace Owens has beef with everybody.
But I saw, to counter that, I saw Maj Touré. He was talking about how he was not happy with the way that Republicans handled the Kimberly Klacik candidacy. He was actually attacking Charlie Kirk. He was saying that his strategy was bad. He said Republicans have a strategy that's bad, and that's why they don't win. So he had critiques about them not being what he calls solutionaries. It's worth reading. It's something I actually wanted you and Robert to talk about because it was interesting. It was an interesting video. Interesting video.
Would you send me that?
I'll send it to you.
Is that something we can look at? So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean for this to turn into a fest. That's my fault. So, but I see what you're saying. Back to what you were saying, Benjamin, is can we receive messages from people who we perceive as having low moral character or lacking integrity?
Mm-hmm.
so the conversation was, okay, sure, Andrew Tate may have done all of these things that he's been accused of, but does that mean that the things he's saying, his commentary on culture, does that make his commentary wrong? And and that is I'll admit, you guys, I'm having a hard time with that, because from what I understand about Andrew Tate is that he was basically scamming girls into having sex with him so that he could then manipulate them into becoming cam girls. And those were his words, okay? I'm not saying anything he didn't say. I'm not paraphrasing or putting words in his mouth.
It's lover boy. That's what it is.
That's
It's
what
that's the term.
Yeah, so you start a relationship, the women fall in love, then you groom them. People don't like the word groomer here, but that's what it is. You're grooming these women into prostitution. And he's a groomer. Admit it by his own words. By his own words. And so, and it wasn't that long
by his
ago.
Own words, or
in his own words.
Just making sure it's by his own
he
words.
crossed state lines. For the record, we have a new Anna Kasparian rant music video coming out soon. The track is done. The video started. We just got to finish it. For those of you who know,
the bad guy.
You know. Oh God, now
I
I'm.
need Razor Ramon. That's what I got to put in the video.
Is that a bad guy? Who's Razor
Nobody
Ramon?
messes with the Batman.
Anyway,
it's a whole thing.
I don't even know what I was saying anymore. Oh, so anyway, so Benjamin says to me, well, Erica, this is no different than what happened to you in Vermont. There were people trying to say that because you had a criminal record and whatever, that you couldn't be listened to. And I said, yeah, but that was 20 years ago. Andrew Tate admitted to doing this stuff like 2 years ago. So no, if I had run for Congress 2 years sober, absolutely nobody should have listened to me. I'm sorry. I'm just real talk. And that's as a sober person. At 2 years sober, I still had my head up my ass. And I was not removed enough from the behavior to be trusted. Really, realistically. I'm saying that as the person, okay? But 20 years later, different story. I have a longer demonstrated history of being a good person than the history of being a bad person, okay? That is, and maybe I'm just being hypocritical because it's me and I want to be treated differently. However, Andrew Tate was literally doing this like 5 minutes ago. And so, no, I don't want to listen to anything he has to say because I think he's a dirtbag. Even though I agree that the cultural rot in the United States is a problem. I like Matt Walsh's book title. We have churches filled with cowards. The church of cowards, okay? That's what Christians are in the United States. Not all of them, but many of them. I know if I have another conversation with a Christian who tells me that abortion is okay because they haven't breathed air yet, I'm going to punch them in their face.
Okay.
Real talk. You don't, dude. You can just say, I know it's murder and I don't care, or I think it's okay. Be honest, like Bill Maher, and say, yeah, I think it's killing a baby, and I'm okay with that. That's what Bill Maher said. So if you are out there running around calling yourself a believer and then saying abortion, don't do that. Just say, you know what, I'm a believer, but I still think that there's, whatever. Just be honest. Don't lie. Don't lie on the Bible. Bringing it back to talking about the Bible. Don't lie on the Bible to justify your sin.
Well, I think I think there are people who genuinely have different interpretations of things they have read.
Yeah, just like the people who say husbands or wives submit to your husbands, but leave out the next line, which says husbands love your wife as Christ loved the church.
Yes, but I think that's absolutely ridiculous, and it's super direct. I think there's something about how long before I don't know. There's questions people have about when the soul enters the body and yada yada yada, I don't have the answer to any of these things. I've read them and I'm like, I could see arguments in either way. I prefer to stay on the side of safety.
Here's the deal. Yeah, but it all in the Bible, right? You can't just read one line. This is the whole thing. You can't just read one line out of the Bible and go, oh, well, therefore, so goes forth henceforth. Okay, doesn't work that way. So so this breath of life thing, what about the scripture where it says, I knew you before you were born. I knew the number of hairs on your head. It said it did. Okay? If God knew me in the womb,
that doesn't necessarily mean, I understand what you're saying and I would agree with you, but that doesn't necessarily mean
oh no, I'm absolutely right.
The value is the same, because the question would also be in the Jewish law, if you cause someone a miscarry, what was the, like, if you made a woman miscarry
on purpose,
accidentally or on purpose, were the penalties the same? Intentionally, if you took human life and if you had a fight with a woman and you caused her to miscarry, does it look at it the same way?
I mean, you caused the death of that person. And under Western law,
depending where you are,
the fight would be manslaughter, more than likely. But the intentional killing is murder.
So is that the way it is in Jewish law, in Torah?
I mean, the 10 Commandments.
That's not what I'm asking.
Says
they
thou
have
shalt not
actual
murder.
No, there's an actual listing of Levitical law, and I believe that that's in there. And I'm saying I don't know the answer to the question, but I believe it's in there, and I think I'm curious if it's the same. And I think when you have things like that, if it is not the same, that is going to give someone pause that the baby does not have the same value as X, Y, or Z.
Okay,
and that's
but
why
again,
this is where people have.
But no, baby, an accidental death versus an intentional killing.
That's not what I'm talking about.
That is what you're talking about.
No, I said if you took the life intentionally, does it have the same charge as murder? Like murdering a normal person, a fully adult human, in Levitical law, is it the same?
I don't know the answer to that.
But that's what I'm saying. So if it
where's
is not the same,
where's our Jewish friends?
Yeah.
Comment below.
Yeah, if it's not the same, then passages like that, someone could reasonably be led to believe that there's different levels of value in human life at different stages. Now, I don't think that, and I think that to be on the safe side, I believe basically if it's anything beyond a morning after pill to stop eggs from hitting sperm and eggs from doing whatever they got connecting, once they connect and things are happening, I don't think that.
Well, and here's,
you should be trying to stop that.
And that's the thing is any line that we draw after conception is arbitrary. If we're talking about this strictly from a scientific perspective and not a religious or moral perspective, life begins at conception. And so by setting any other parameter after that, you are arbitrarily deciding when life is valuable or not. And
what do you mean when you say the word arbitrary?
We don't, you said yourself, we don't know.
Correct.
When does the soul enter the body? When does whatever? So the law is arbitrarily determining a value for human life. Oh, this human life is not valuable unless it's at least 15 weeks old. Yeah, this human life is not valuable unless it's at least 20 weeks old.
Correct. But I'm saying when this is based on so when you say conception, do you mean when people had sex?
Yes.
Or when an egg was fertilized?
I mean when that's
not the same thing.
When the egg is fertilized.
So that's what I'm saying. When I say something that is preventing
but the morning
fertilization from happening, to me, is not arbitrary. But that is a very specific thing.
But they say you can take the morning after pill like 3 or 4 days after unprotected sex. By then, you definitely have an embryo implanted in the uterine lining at that point.
Okay. I got you. I don't know how late into the game you can take it. What I'm saying is if it's in reference to taking something to impede that from happening, I don't look at that as tremendously different from a condom.
Okay.
I don't think that, I'm thinking of that as different from
I mean, it's incredibly harmful to a woman's body.
contraception.
It
is what I'm saying.
forces a woman to go into to
Yeah, it's
start her
not good.
period.
I'm not
It's
saying
not
it's not saying
healthy
it's a
or
good thing
good.
to do, but what I'm saying is if that's my line, but that line is not arbitrary. Arbitrary is based on random choice of person to whim. It's not how I arrived there. I was like, when do we have a new piece of DNA jumping together? And look, we might die, and God might go, yo, check this out. You're dead wrong. Cool. But as far as my mind can calculate, when does a new human start? To me, that's still at the level of contraception. Once you get to things attached to walls and there's another DNA code being built and yada, 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 yada. Now I'm like,
Yeah,
as
but
far as
that-
I can tell, that's a baby.
Right. But again, that can happen anywhere from an hour to 7 days after
Correct.
intercourse.
Sure.
So even that, again,
Sure.
you're still creating an arbitrary.
No, that's
thing.
it's not the definition of what arbitrary. Arbitrary is based on random choice or personal whim. This is not random choice or personal whim. I'm trying to find a line that is reasonable and walkable for those of us of the faith.
Right,
and
but
those
what
of
I'm
us
saying-
who are,
but if you-
wait, let me finish my sentence. For those of us who are of the faith and have strong pro-life views, and those of us who have none of that at all and are pure choice, don't think it matters, don't think it has value. My line is when things connect and you start getting another code of DNA built.
Okay.
To me, that's different
Okay.
from a condom.
But then how do you tell whether, how would you be able to tell whether or not the embryo implanted into the uterus before you take the morning after pill?
I don't know. Obviously, you can't
I mean-
without some kind of an exam.
So
I'm
then-
not saying that I'm not saying that it's an end all be all. I'm saying that's as close to a reasonable answer and a reasonable line as I can get. Because if we're not doing that, spilling your seed is a whole other issue. Is that against the rules? So are we saying that young people who are having sex just shouldn't use condoms? I know a lot of people use the pull-out method and
No,
leave it up
that's
to God.
stupid. That's very
I'm
stupid.
this is super graphic. I apologize, chat, but I was trying to find a line. Clearly, you're saying that morning after pill is something that can cause an abortion, basically.
Yeah, it's still an aborticant. It's still considered an
Hmm.
aborticant. I think that's how you say that word.
I was
and-
assuming people were using it as a contraception in the sense that to impede conception.
it's not that. It is
Okay.
an aborticant. And the reason it is because it causes you to start your menstrual cycle and slough off your uterine lining and whatever. The intention is to get rid of and kill anything that might be life producing. I mean, that's what it is. Condoms, birth control, those are intended to try to keep you from getting pregnant. This is not trying to keep you from getting pregnant. You're already pregnant, or there's a good chance you could be pregnant, and you want to kill or get rid of anything that could become pregnant. So it's like, I can't even come up with a good analogy that doesn't sound terrible to say. Like, bacteria or viruses or whatever, those multiply. So if you sneezed on the counter and then cleaned it with Lysol after, well, you've just made sure to kill all the bacteria and everything. You made sure you didn't want it to grow and get worse.
Okay. Well, I'll have to look it up because you're saying the morning after pill functions differently than I was led to believe by things that I've seen, and I thought it was different from the other pill. I'm not
Yeah. I mean,
prescribing to be an expert here.
the other chemical abortion is just stronger and worse because you literally are passing a baby. You are literally giving birth. Okay, this is what people don't understand. When you have an abortion, They have to dilate your cervix just like you're having a baby so that it can pass through your cervix. So it doesn't matter if it's this big or this big, the process is the same. The chemical abortion, one of the pills dilates your cervix. I'm not, you know what? It's been so long. I'm not going to be able to. The pills that you take dilate your cervix. They are like a stronger version of the morning after pill, which basically causes the sloughing of the uterine lining. It causes you to have a miscarriage. It basically kills the baby, kills the uterine lining, and then lets you pass it.
Okay.
So it's, you guys, at 12 weeks, the baby's like this. At least you're not passing a clump of cells. You're passing a baby through your cervix.
Okay. See, because I'm reading things that say, I'm gonna have to look this up, because I'm reading things that are saying like it does not end a pregnancy if the egg has already been fertilized. The morning pill is not an abortion pill.
So stupid.
We're not harming.
Here's the okay.
Look, wait,
no.
Nope. I'm saying this is the reason why I've always thought that was how it functioned.
And I know, but this is why that is so stupid, and that's why that's a lie. Who's saying that? Planned Parenthood? Like,
no.
The reason I'm saying that, a baby, an embryo, a zygote, whatever you want to call it, cannot survive in the uterus without the lining. That's when you have your menstrual cycle. So what happens throughout the month? We're having a freaking anatomy lesson here on Generally Irritable, ladies and gentlemen. Throughout the month, the uterine lining grows. It grows and grows and grows to prepare to have a baby. So that if you have sex, if you have an egg that gets fertilized, that implants into the uterus. Then when you have your period, that uterine lining sloughs off, it comes out. A lot of that stuff you see when you have your period is not blood, it's the uterine lining. There's just some blood that comes to help move it all out. So if that's the case, and the point of the morning after pill is to force you to start your period so that you will slough off your uterine lining, so that the point is to slough off the uterine lining so that no fertilized egg can attach to it and survive. That's the point of the morning after pill, you guys. It does. They can say, oh, it doesn't end a pregnancy if it already exists. Well, yeah, sure. There are people who have survived the morning after pill. I had a friend of mine who took the morning after pill. 6 weeks later, she was pregnant. So it is possible that the morning after pill doesn't even work. That is possible. But then what kind of birth defects might you be dealing with when the first month of the baby's life, it's just hanging around in the freaking uterus? Like, again, you're taking chemicals to force out anything that could be alive from your uterus. And then you're going to say it doesn't end the pregnancy? I mean, they are so dishonest. And this is the thing. The only way that Americans go along with this stuff is because of the volume of dishonesty that is employed in the rhetoric surrounding these issues. And again, here's the deal. You don't have to be pro-life like me. You don't have to have the same feelings or emotions about it that I do. You know, I've been very open on this channel with folks that I too was misled, and I had not one, but 2 abortions in my early 20s. And it was the biggest mistake of my life. There is nothing that I regret more than not having my children. Nothing I regret more. Not going to jail, not any of the dumb stuff that I've ever done that I'm embarrassed or ashamed about. My biggest regret is that now I can't have children. And I missed my opportunity to be a mother because I got lied to by the culture and told that I couldn't do it, and you're a loser, and you just kill it because, you know, you want to be a career woman and you want to have stuff, and you can't have a life and have kids too. So I'm very passionate about this issue, guys. I'm very passionate And I get so mad because I don't want to see other women deceived like I was. I don't want other women to suffer with the same regret and pain that I have. I don't want other women to deal with this. And again, if you want to be pro-choice, if you want to be pro-abortion, fine. But just be honest about it. Don't lie to people. Don't say that these interventions are this or that. No, just say what it is. Just tell the truth. That's what makes me so crazy. It's just they're just so dishonest. They're absolutely dishonest.
Well, I'll be doing some more research because you're very passionate. This is not my wheelhouse. I like fighting in comic books.
I think it's so crazy. How did this even start? We're talking about the
Bible, abortion,
Andrew Tate. How did
Andrew Tate, Loverboy method. But also, I'm curious about that because I saw something that said that it was like 10 months ago. He said, like, I was nice to girls 10 years ago and blah, 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 blah. But then there's other videos like the one you were talking about where he talked about women doing cam stuff and taking people's money. So I can't tell. I don't know when he did all those things, and I can't watch for that man's salvation. The truth of the matter is it's the internet, so you never really know what anybody's talking about or what anybody really believes.
That's the truth.
People do things for clicks, especially provocateurs. And so it's very difficult to get a proper read on a situation. Yeah. You guys just watched an honest conversation. Like the conversation we just had, that is how our conversations actually go. Yeah. Where somebody says something, somebody like, are you sure? Then we start looking on YouTube and Google to figure out the details to get specific. Because there's still a lot of gaps. There's a lot of things to know. There's a lot of hot topics that are going on right now. So it's hard to keep up with all this crap.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, with our 24-hour news cycle, people forget the next day about stuff that happened and things that we were upset and enraged about 2 minutes ago, 2 days ago, 2 weeks ago. Oh, shoot, what was it? There was something just the other day. I was like, whatever happened to that person? Whatever happened with that? And you know, I meant to look it up, but it's so easy. I think nowadays too, that people are so afraid to have conversations. People are so afraid to hurt each other's feelings or just get down into the nitty gritty with each other that they just avoid these conversations. People are so afraid to talk about abortion and hurt each other's feelings. Like, you know, for our viewers, my sister used to run a Planned Parenthood. One of my sisters was a Planned Parenthood clinic director. And she's still very much pro-choice and does not agree with my pro-life stance. And if I bring it up or anything gets brought up at a family dinner, it definitely makes for awkward conversation. And so nobody wants to say anything and nobody wants to hurt anybody's feelings. And it's such a charged conversation that like, if you're pro-life, you hate women or, you know, whatever. And it's like, no, actually, I love women. I love women so much. I want women to feel empowered and filled with grace and care. I want them to have, I want every woman to have as awesome a marriage and husband as I do, someone who loves them and cares for them and encourages them. I want them to have a family if they want it. I want women to feel empowered to do and be whatever it is they want. And in order for that to happen, I believe they need to know the truth. They need to make informed decisions. And if we lie to them or we refuse to have conversations because it might hurt our feelings, then people continue to make life-altering, life-harming decisions because we're too afraid to be uncomfortable. And I would like for that to be different. I would like to see that change. All right. Well, we've got viewers, but nobody's commenting. So apparently that was either so riveting that everybody is just listening, or
Glued to their
maybe they
seats.
think we're full of crap. You guys comment below. Tell us what you think. Do you think
Yeah.
we're crazy? Did I get my biology wrong?
Do you love Andrew Tate? What's going on?
Do you love
Give us
Andrew
something.
Tate? Do you hate women?
Wow.
I know.
Do you hate women?
Isn't that?
I'm going to say I do laugh about these different groups online, like, why am I still single and all these things. And it's like, this is Facebook threads that I'll see or pages, and they have really funny memes. And it's like there's one of two Chads, and it's like a guy that goes, I don't date women with kids. And the other one goes, I only date virgins. And it says what they're really saying, what they really need, and it's the two dudes making out. Oh my gosh. So while I am not single, and I've never really had a major issue with the dating game, past or present,
That is terrible.
I think the women arguing over dating posts are hilarious. People are so ridiculous. No comments.
Oh yeah. Well, and this is the thing is like, again, regardless of what I think about Andrew Tate as a human being, as a person, his commentary on the cultural rot in this country is accurate and on point. And women do run around like a bunch of hoochie mamas and then are confused by why guys don't want to wipe them up. But you know, I will say, you know, that while I appreciate his commentary, I disagree with his recommended solutions for the problem. We have generations of fatherless boys and girls. And I don't just mean fatherless, but I mean broken homes. So you have literally generations of people with mommy and daddy issues. And now they're trying to couple and create families. And we're curious why that's a problem. We've watched our parents get divorced. We've watched them, you know, not put in the effort. We see, you know, I was a person, you know, my dad was around, but he was not present. I definitely am a statistic, right? Like I'm the statistic, you guys. I grew up in a poor house without a father figure, and I ended up a drug addict in jail and a hoochie mama. Not that Ben hates it when I say that stuff online, but like,
Yes.
but I am the epitome of the problem. That's how I know it exists, because I'm not the only one. I was in prison with a bunch of other women with daddy issues, and it was obvious. So the solution to the cultural rot is not to further encourage people not to get married and have families.
Mhm.
The solution is to encourage them to get married, stay married, and not be a bunch of selfish assholes.
I mean, yeah.
My thoughts. Your thoughts.
Yeah, I don't, here's the problem. I've only really caught most of his stuff in clips. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's slightly wild. And sometimes it's not him being prescriptive, he's just saying, being descriptive of things that he's done or whatever. So I have a hard time unpacking. If I was to call him on the phone and ask him, hey man, I got a son, could you mentor him? What would you teach him? I don't know what will come out of his mouth. And that's where it's difficult to have a actual opinion on that. And I'm learning as time goes by, as we just had this conversation with the morning after pill.
Yeah.
Things may not be what they appear and require more detailed research. So I'm going to withhold that. I will say that
Sure.
I've heard him say things that are useful. And I do think in general, our world has attacked men.
Yes.
And there's a tremendous amount of danger
yes.
to that.
Yes.
I've seen that firsthand, and I've watched conversations that I was literally just watching a video the other day where this young woman, this guy pranked his girlfriend, and he pulled up at his ex-girlfriend's house and went to the door and left his girl in the car. And he said, I was going there to get a sweater. When he comes back, she's having a full-blown meltdown, and she grabs him by his hair and she's punching him. And the thought is, and what people ask is like, everybody thinks this is funny. You can see it in the comments. And they're going, if that was reversed, there'd be nothing funny about it. It would be completely uncalled for. It would be completely unreasonable for a man, if a woman had done that to him, to just tee off on him like that. And it's like, so you really don't want equality. And if we're going to have double standards in areas like that, and you don't really think that we're all the same, then you need to say that. And you need to say, I want men to be chivalrous, but in order for men to be chivalrous, women have to also be different. Men will not be chivalrous for whores. And here's the thing, and women shouldn't submit to whores.
Correct.
You shouldn't seek the chivalry of whores.
Yeah.
Because if you're a whore, you're not chivalrous.
And that literally, ladies, as long as you're running around trying to get validation and attention by sleeping with people, it is always going to leave you wanting.
Well, here's the deal. If you want to live that life, and I'm not saying hoe or whore like to make people feel bad, but like it's not good. Like scientifically, spiritually, it is not good to just be ripping and running in the streets. Like that's just, everybody should know that. I don't know why that's controversial, but a disease, unwanted disease, culture. Potentially unwanted pregnancy, strife, the chaos, there's a lot of things that go along with that. But the point is, if you do that, that does not make you a good person. And this is very specific to the men out there. It's very important. We have this weird, it's a problem, right? So on the one hand, because it is typically harder for men to get physical attention from women, it used to take more work and more effort. We would applaud you. Now, I don't mind saying that someone is deserving as a man of a certain level of props for being able to garner the attention of a young lady, especially a lady of caliber. That does not mean have sex with her. I don't talk to my friends about the girls that they have sex with. I don't need you to tell me your stories, because in my mind, the moment you start telling me that you're just going out, ripping in the streets, when you ask, can you have a sip of my drink? Nah, fam, I don't know where the lips been. You nasty. And if women treated men like that, men would act less like whores, like dogs that have no training.
Yeah, well,
untrained dog. You're out running around in the streets like untrained dogs sniffing heat. That's not good. That is not a thing that I can honor. You can do it. You can live that life, but that's not honorable. And as a woman, you don't get credit because men are so easy when it comes to the physical. We're so easy to tempt. So you don't get any honor from a man from spreading your legs. A girl can be an absolute 3.5 on a good day in a dark club at about 2:15. And you're going to get a decent dude who's hard up and he's ready.
Yep.
He'll go for it.
Well,
so you don't get there's no props there. That's not even a hard catch.
Well, and that's what's so funny about the lie of feminism, right? So the feminist lie is that women are just like men and that we can behave like them and it be fine. So it was like, instead of just continuing to have a high level of integrity, being thoughtful about your womb and who you allow to spill their seed inside of you and things like that, as our friend Eric Chavez would say, not letting losers come in you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how he says it.
Love you, my man. So disgusting, but true.
So bad.
So feminists said, ladies, why don't you act like dogs, like the worst kind of men, and that will make you equal. So behaving like the worst aspects of masculinity.
The worst.
Okay? Not the good aspects of masculinity. Okay? I want to make sure I'm being very clear. So feminism told women to act like the worst aspects of masculinity in order to have equality. So run around, get it in wherever you can. Be aggressive, yell at people.
Aggressive. Be aggressive.
Don't get me started on my cheerleading days, okay? But like those are not character qualities that were affirmed or uplifted in men in previous generations. But now women are being told to act like that, as if that's feminism and equality, right? That was the whole reason for abortion. That was the whole push for abortion, was so that women, because men didn't have to take responsibility for the children that they bear, women didn't want to have to take responsibility for the children that they bear either. I mean, that's real talk. That's what abortion is all about. Men can walk away from the family and leave their children. Women want to be able to do that too. And apparently the only way we can do that is if we kill them. You know, we can't be bothered to bring the child to term, bring the human being to term, and then give it up for adoption or do something like that. No, we can't do that. We just kill it. We just destroy anything and kill anything that's inconvenient and interferes with our comfort. And that I think is what is really the most disgusting thing about the abortion industry as it is we have decided and determined that certain life is not valuable and therefore we can just kill it. It's an inconvenience to me as a person, and I'm uncomfortable, and I don't want to have to deal with the consequences of my own decision making.
Fair.
Therefore, it's okay for me to murder another human being.
The reason from a non-religious reason, have a problem with the idea of abortion is if you give people a way out that's convenient, that will excuse our bad behavior. And this is not just, I mean, this is everybody. You give people a way out, they're probably going to take it. And now, not only have we, I mean, people were having like parties over things like divorce. Like you have divorce celebrations.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe for the certain person that had a really bad time and it's like, oh, it's a freedom party. Okay, I could kind of see that. But like, if that should be rare. What's the word? Rare and what was it?
Safe, legal, and rare.
Safe, legal, and rare. Very, 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 very rare. Because otherwise, you are incentivizing super damaging behavior, not only to you and your relationships, but your kids. If you have children, it's not good for your kids.
Also, why would you celebrate being a loser?
Well, why would you celebrate the fact that you and your husband both lied to God and everybody you knew? Like, that's not... We're going to ruffle a lot of feathers. Probably going to lose some subscribers over this one.
I am okay with that. Yo, look, you do not... Divorce parties are one of the stupidest things I've ever heard of. Okay? If you're getting a divorce, it's because either you quit, you failed, you married a loser, you're a loser. Like, there's no good reason for getting a divorce. And here's the thing. Even if the person you married is abusive, get a divorce. Okay? Don't hear me. Don't mishear me. Get a divorce if a person is abusing you. But you don't deserve a party or a cake for that. You married someone who was abusive to you. There is something wrong with you that caused you to get in a relationship with an abusive person.
Okay. I'm going to throw a jab at you because it's going to be fun. So, according to the Bible, you said people can't get an abortion and they can't change. They shouldn't do that for probably just about any reason outside of life of the mother and the kid, yada. But you just said if you got slapped in the face, you can terminate your relationship.
And that's Levitical law. When you're talking about Levitical law, yeah.
Is it?
Yes. There are reasons.
It says if there was abuse, what did Jesus say?
I think there are two, if I recall correctly, there are only two reasons you can get a divorce according to the Bible, and one is adultery and physical abuse.
But is that what Jesus said, or is that what Levitical law said?
I
Yeah,
guess I don't know. What did Jesus
check,
say?
but check it out. And I'm not look, and everybody, this is a very we're not biblical scholars. We're showing you the walkthrough that people have to have as Christians when they're hard subjects. I believe the quote somewhere Jesus said that Moses gave you X and Y due to the hardness of your hearts. But I don't think that it actually says that you are supposed to get a divorce. I don't remember. I know that either way you messed up, but I don't think that Jesus said that you're supposed to do that.
Well, here's the deal. And we're spilling the tea here. You know, anybody that knows Benjamin and I well knows that we were really struggling in the first few years of our marriage. We really had a hard time getting along, and we were separated, and we almost got divorced. And I can tell you that every single past, well, except for one, but we're not going to have that conversation. Every single pastor, religious person that I spoke to was like, yeah, your husband may be being a dick, but this isn't divorce worthy. And also, by the way, you're being a dick too. And I was like, no, I'm perfect and I'm blameless and white as snow, which obviously was bull crap. Not true. I definitely was contributing.
No, you're awesome. You're the best.
You are so silly. But our mommy and daddy issues got married, not Benjamin and Erica. And we had to realize that this was our baggage getting in the way of us having our own relationship. And so we struggled, but we turned to God. We turned to God and to elders that we trusted and respected in the church to help guide us back into reconciliation.
Mm-hmm.
So the things that I'm saying are not coming from a place of not having experienced them.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this stuff because, I just have seen videos on the internet or read a book. Like this is my real life. This is our real life. And so, and sure enough, like imagine, this was the big thing I remember one night when I was praying and I was like, God, I don't know how to be married to this man. I don't know what to do. Show me, and I just was begging God to reveal the truth to me. And it was it just became so clear that if I left Benjamin, that it would be the same thing over and over and over again. That Benjamin ultimately, while we weren't getting along and we were messing with each other, like it was not his fault. We were on the crazy cycle and we had to get off of it. And if it was not for God, if it was not for our love of Jesus, if it was not for the remembrance that I swore an oath in front of our entire family and our friends, and most importantly to God, I swore an oath that I would love and cherish that man in good times and bad, in sickness and in health, until death do us part.
Yeah.
And so when I realized that I was going to be breaking a promise that I made to God, that really hit me. It really hit me. And you know what? That part of the vows should have been a freaking warning.
Yeah.
Hey, there's gonna be bad times. You're gonna get sick.
People don't think about all that. And I know that because, again, I went through a divorce. So I did the young marriage thing. We did it all the way kinds of wrong. It did not go well. And part of the problem, or not part of the problem, but one of the benefits is when we got together, I already knew like how you could be totally head over heels for a person. They're so great. They're so awesome. And then they start doing stuff. Mm-hmm. And then how a person who says they love you more than anybody else in the world, it's thin line between love and hate. And even if it's not really hate, that level of spite looks like hate. That level of offense and indignation will look like hate. Like you'll burn everything down with this person that you're supposed to love because you're mad.
Yep.
And you're gonna regret it, which is what I say. Like I remember me and my ex had conversations after we were divorced. And I was like, wish we could have done this ahead of time, could have resolved the problem. And so when we walked in our marriage and we're having issues, I was like, just don't quit. If you're going to procrastinate anything, procrastinate on quitting, because I know how this is going to go. She's going to date some dude, have very similar issues. I'm going to go date some other chick, and guess what? It won't be exactly Erica. She might have blonde hair and she might have black skin. Who freaking knows? It's going to be the same arguments. It's going to be many of the same problems. So I might as well not go anywhere. And I think a lot of people don't pick a quality enough partner in the beginning for it to even be worth sticking around for. Like I looked at as a husband, right? And the fact that I have some knowledge that Erica doesn't have, and she has some things I don't have, obviously. But there's, my job is supposed to be to lead and protect the house and the family. So to lead, typically you got to have some kind of vision, some kind of wisdom, something to give to the team. Like a manager is supposed to create optimized results. I'm supposed to get us farther together than we would have gotten separately.
Yeah.
If I'm not bringing that kind of a value add, I don't even really know. You should marry that person. And that's just my honest opinion. But I'm investing time and energy into Erica. Like she's not just my helpmeet. I'm supposed to cultivate her. When it says like, love your wives like God loved the church, God didn't just like, the church, you guys are good. It's all good. See you guys later. It's like he develops you. It's progressive sanctification. So what does that look like for me? Well, obviously we got to try to be spiritual, Christian, whatever, but also like her professional development, her career, her purpose. She has a purpose. Her purpose isn't just my purpose. So if I spend 5-6 years working with her to be the best person from all my sales training, all my management training, I'm putting as much into Erica as I can, what I know about life, what I've learned in my couple years. I'm not going to want to just walk away from that investment because we're arguing about something.
Yeah.
She might get on my absolute nerve, but to walk away from that investment, if you haven't made an investment, real easy to walk away. But what kind of mirrors did you have and what kind of a husband were you?
Ooh. Speaking of which, we're going to come to a close.
Yeah.
So before we go, you guys, couple things. Number one, we're going to be at Minds Fest Saturday, April 27th at the Vulcan Gas Company. And actually, we don't have a discount code, but one of the guests who will be there, I'm just going to share his discount code. It's AJW. If you go to order your tickets and you use the code AJW for Actual Justice Warrior, you can get 20% off your tickets. Cool. So we're going to be covering the Minds Fest on Saturday, the 27th. You should definitely come check it out. It's a debate series. Yeah. So it's leftists and conservatives getting together to talk about issues that are hard. There's going to be stand-up comedy.
Are they leftists or liberals?
Destiny?
I think he'd be considered a leftist, right?
I
don't know. It gets confusing now.
Yeah, so it's Lauren Chen, Destiny, Actual Justice Warrior, Jimmy Dore, some of the Timcast crew whose names I can't think of right now. So it's going to be a really interesting group of folks. But we're going to be getting to do interviews. We might even be live streaming. So that'll be really cool. So that's one thing you guys are going to definitely want to go check out, especially if you're in the Austin, Texas area. Come check it out.
Yeah.
And then what else have we got going on April 30th? Do we want to talk about the film festival?
Well, we did before, but we can just be real brief. It's not the film festival. We're just having the film premiere of Chronicles of a Broken Path Caravan. It's a 10-minute short we did based on the feature film we're working on, the feature trilogy, fantasy.
Think Lord of the Rings.
Think Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Witcher,
Yeah.
vibe of Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves.
Yep.
Heavy action, high fantasy, should be a lot of fun, comedy, snarkiness. Plus, it's got some heart. There's some heart there. There's some deeper issues going on, but low budget as far as like micro budget indie film. This isn't corporate. This is just me and the film fam out here. We're gonna be super collaborative. If you've ever had a desire to get involved in fantasy at all, please, this is your chance.
Yes.
And I will find a way to use you on set. If you got a costume and you really want to be in a fantasy movie, if you're a real nerd like me, okay. If you're not a nerd, this
Don't
probably
bother.
isn't for you. You don't need to come to the set. Just send us $20 or
Have
something.
a nice day.
But if you are a nerd, come get down. We're also working on a board game. My friend Steven the TV's in the chat right now. He's actually some brother from another mother from way back. Actually, him and Allie, my sister, are from another mister. They're going to be working on our board game. It's really coming together. It's going to be really dope. So
I love it. So if you're in the Austin, Texas area, come see us on Tuesday, April 30th at Galaxy Highland Theater. And if you're not, check it out online. We'll put a link in the comments or the description of this video. So make sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you've been watching for this long, I thank you very much for your attention. And if you liked the video, like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like the video, thanks for hate watching.
Thanks for the engagement.
Thanks for the engagement. All right, guys. Make it a good day. All right. Bless you.
This book will give you wings!
What kind of wings?
Not like Icarus wings, like eagle's wings!
What about dragons?
You'll have dragon's blood! You'll be able to breathe fire!
Fire like the Ultra Eagle Dragon!
This book will make you smarter!
Yes!
I'm not just talking honor roll smart, I'm talking Nikola Tesla smart! You'll be so good looking, Brad Pitt will be jealous!
Do you want to make money?
How much money?
Elon Musk money.
That's a lot of money!
People will think you're Elon Musk, but you're not Elon Musk, but they'll think you're
Elon Musk, because you pay taxes like Elon Musk!
And you have to argue with Elizabeth Warren because she thinks you're Elon Musk. Do you want freedom?
How much freedom?
All the freedom. One to America. How much freedom do you want?
America!
Double America!